Hello, everyone. Welcome to Toolbox for Turbulent Times, Day 6. I'm Swati Kameswar, your guide through this series. And this is a series where we are discussing 7 soul-nourishing practices to help us stay centered during these very unusual times of change. And today we're going to be talking about the 6th tool. Although I wouldn't really call this a tool, rather it's a way of life. And I feel like it's extremely useful for these changing times. And frankly, I think it's something that we just cannot ignore anymore. So let's dive in. And before we get to the 6th tool, let's just recap what we talked about on the first, for the first 5 tools. We first talked about emotional clearing and using tapping and the relevance of doing emotional clearing regularly during these times. Then we talked about creativity and intuitive painting. We also talked about journaling, toning for strengthening your expression. And then we talked about developing a strong relationship with the elements to strengthen your capacity to create your life consciously. So I'm curious what is sparking for you as you hear this content, and which tools have you tried and which have you liked and which have resonated with you so far. So please share in the comments. I love to hear from you. Okay, let's dive into day 6. So I want to talk today about why we are being asked to create a new way of being in these times. So it's obvious by now that humanity is going through a massive shift. And we are seeing so many things changing around us. And so before we go into tool number 6, I want to provide a context for what we are going through and astrologically, what are the key transits right now and how they are playing a major role in coaxing humanity to shift. So the dominant transits of the past few years, last year and this year, have concerned the planet Pluto, which has brought about a tremendous amount of transformation. This year in 2021, the dominant transit is the Saturn-Uranus squares. We've already had 2 of them, and the third one is yet to come in December. And these are awakening a new way of being. And with these squares, we have seen a lot of chaos, this because Uranus can bring about chaos. And in fact, it awakens us through chaos if we are not paying attention. So the energy of this transit, the Saturn-Uranus square, it's saying, change the rules, change your routine, change the way things have been working in this reality, or rather, change the way things have not been working for most of humanity. Otherwise, the cosmic forces are going to bring this change for you. Or, we are being forced to change otherwise. And another thing that I have noticed in the transits this year, something that I have been exploring myself just recently, is the asteroid Kali has been conjunct Saturn. And even right now, they are just a degree apart. And I've been observing this energy because this is playing out in my own chart, and it's very much like Pluto and Uranus combined. That is, it creates deep, permanent, radical change. So it shows up as old rules being broken. It's asking us to grow up and mature. So, Saturn is all about maturity and knowing what is in the highest good of all, because Saturn is about setting up rules to live in this physical reality, but rules that serve the highest good of all and not just an elite few. And Kali, the archetype of Kali, it's about embodying your absolute truth. And how many of us know what our truth is? And the events of the past few years are making us ask that question more and more. And I just want to caution that this is not an energy that you can fool around with or ignore. And that's why I felt it important to bring up. It's something that we are being asked to take seriously in our own lives about what is the truth and are you living according to your truth? The next thing that I have noticed that has been pretty strong this year in 2021 is transits concerning Neptune, and that's going to also color most of next year. And with Neptune transits, there is this sense of fuzziness and things are not clear. And Neptune really starts to dissolve the old in a very slow and steady process. So it's kind of making change happen, and it's also asking us to go with the flow. And the bottom line is that we will need to adapt to change more and more in the coming years, like this year for sure, and even next year. So the way, what we're being asked to do here is be in the moment and make a choice. So, planning ahead for months ahead may not work because things will change. And we can make the best choice only if we are present in the moment. And the other thing that is asking us to do is create a new way of being that is led from the heart and not from the limited options that the mind can see, but start to develop the ability to have an open heart and make choices from a clear, clean, open, expansive heart. And the planet Jupiter is going to conjunct Neptune. It's going to, enter Pisces at the end of the year and conjunct Neptune next year. So there is going to be the expansion of the unknown, and we must know how to navigate this. So we are actually, humanity is in a very new territory, and there's been no precedent for this. So to summarize, the old ways are not working anymore, collectively and personally. So we are being invited to examine our lives and shift voluntarily. Otherwise, shifts are made for us, and then we just have to go along with that. So to take it a little bit deeper, we are being asked to awaken to our deeper values and soul's desires, and really learn the distinction between what is our soul's desires versus what is our ego desires. And with Neptune transits, with Kali conjunct Saturn, ego desires are just going to be, there's going to be no place for it. So we have to come from the heart and from the soul. And this is prompting us to see where we are not using our energy wisely or efficiently. And that's absolutely key here. Taking responsibility for how our energy, our personal energy and collective resources are spent, being very wise about that, and stop settling for a mediocre existence. We're being asked to bring depth and meaning to all of life, all of it, and not just small parts of it. So ultimately, we're being asked to become responsible creators personally, so that collectively humanity evolves at a rapid rate. So our destiny is to become extraordinary human beings. And what will make that possible? So we have to get away from comparison and competition, but being the best each one of us can be in this life. And that means playing small it's not going to serve the world. The Saturn-Uranus square energy, it's an energy of liberation from chains of what we think we should be and do. And that's why I've been talking about Uranus revealing to us our unique genius and our unique gifts, getting familiar with why our soul incarnated here. And then Saturn helps us to find a practical way of expressing that uniqueness. So all of this is resulting in having more depth and meaning to our life. So all of these things, now it leads to tool number 6, and this is an invitation to consciously break our patterns that we have outgrown. So starting to see how we can do things differently or drop them altogether to make space for soul nourishment. That means our intention is going to be key going forward. Like what is our intention with our actions, and how are we using our attention and energy? That's going to be key, because anything that is not done with intention, it'll just boomerang right back at us to deal with. So we have to make sure that what we do, we want to do it, and it brings us joy, and it has purpose. And there's no more surface level actions. We have to do things that really mean to us to be able to live a deeper, richer life. Then we are being asked to become more flexible with life in general and dropping judgment of what is right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. There's only what is relevant for you in that moment and what will serve your highest good. And that what is in your highest good is also probably in the highest good of all concerned, or everybody, because we're all connected. And we have to watch out where we are still stuck in duality, it's holding us tight, where we are so passionate about right or wrong and good or bad, and we are just pulled from one end to the other. So being able to come to a neutral place is important. What we thought was good may change, because there's just so much change happening. What we thought was the right thing for us last year may be different this year. So being flexible and pliable and being willing to shift our perspective and being willing to change our ingrained patterns is what we are being asked to do here. So that leads us to tool number 6, which is willingly changing habits and patterns. And like I said, it's not really a tool per se, but it's a way of life. And I'm going to give you some areas to examine in your life that may help you to jumpstart working with this. Also, I just want to say that this tool becomes so much easier if you have been practicing the other tools for a while. Like, for example, tapping to release emotional baggage, or journaling to become aware of your patterns. When you're practicing those tools already, it's like softening of the soil and then transplanting something that when the soil is softened becomes so much easier. So the Uranus transits that we're having this year, oftentimes they will feel chaotic when we are very ingrained in our habits and we are not able to change easily. So that's when the chaos seems unbearable. So by working with these tools, we start to enable ourselves with stronger resources. And then change doesn't seem like things are breaking down, but instead it feels like breakthroughs and an expansion. So the first thing you want to do here before we go into the tools to set you up for using this tool properly is look at your life and simplify every aspect of your life that you can. So really take an honest look at what you're entangled in, what needs your attention on a daily basis, and be honest with what is not essential or does not match your vision for your life. Because that is one of the first places where we get into where things just keep getting added on to our plate, and then we don't have time to respond to change in the most effective way. This will help us to open to new ways of doing things so that we can change our routines. We may be having the same routine day after day, and it may already not be working for you. So being open to experiment with a new way of doing things and realize that you can work with change consciously. Like habits and patterns can be changed. Doing things out of habit simply because it's convenient will not serve us anymore. And that's why consciously looking at this to navigate is key to navigating change with grace. Then look at where you are not being present with your life. So where you're not being present is leading to putting off what is important. Typical example is checking emails or a phone or social media many times a day. That kind of thing drains the energy. It doesn't have a purpose. So look at where you're not creating your life with presence, because remember what we don't do with intention, that it'll reflect back that same energy. So here are some areas of your life that you can apply this to and see where you may have fallen into a pattern that is not healthy anymore for any of these areas. And again, just take what resonates for you and change what you feel most called to. I've given a whole bunch of examples from what I have experienced myself. So see what applies to you. The first place is relationships. And this is something that's so dear to my heart. The question I ask is, am I raising my children the way I want to? And the other thing is that expectations that we have of ourselves in relationships, of ourselves and of others. We may have grown a lot in the past year. So asking yourself, what do I expect of myself and others in relationships? Have I fallen into a pattern that is just not serving us anymore? The other thing is your body, the food that you are nourishing your body with. Are you eating the same thing that, even though it clearly doesn't work anymore? Because the energies that have been coming in are really pushing us to embody more light. So there's literally our cells are trying to hold on to more light. And that may mean that what we have been eating so far may not work anymore. So examining that. The rest and the movement that your body needs, are you giving it that, or have you gotten stuck into a pattern that needs to change? The next thing is career. The work that you're doing, is it sacred to you? Does it have meaning? Does it light you up? You know, or then asking yourself, like, did I just get into the river of life with other millions of folks and I'm just going along without realizing what else is there on the shore to see? This is so key, and this is one place I see where people can be very, very unfulfilled. And if we are not doing things we love, it's just going to get harder. The other thing that is really key is money. Like, how do I spend my money? Money holds so much power in this world, and how you spend it directs the energy of money, and ultimately it creates and shapes the world. So the choices that you make with your money reflect the state of your consciousness. So examining those choices and seeing, are they still in your highest good, or does it need to change? The next thing I want to talk about is sense of safety. So where are you feeling safe and secure, but it's just a false illusion of safety? And where are you trying to control your life and feel safe in your bubble, but that, you know, is just a false illusion? That's one thing to look at, because when big transits happen, they will create change, and our sense of safety is definitely affected. And so we want to see what is false, like what is not really, or rather looking at where your true sense of safety comes from. Then mind versus heart. I really love this one, because this is key. This is something that I've been working on for a while now, and I see the difference. Where am I living in my mind all the time? Where am I trying to figure things out logically with the mind and the intellect? And, you know, we often think that we can use our intellect to navigate life. And with Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces coming up in 2021, the intellect of the mind will not be sufficient to move through life. We have to start being in the heart, and we have to really strengthen our capacity to lead from the heart. Then the next thing is identity. What are you attached to? These transits are giving us a way to break things apart so that more light emerges. And if we are attached to a certain profession or a certain idea or of ourselves or an identity, we often limit who we can be. And so if we are caught up in our routine of just doing things and being in this rat race and, you know, being in these same day-to-day habits, we may miss seeing what is trying to wake us up, and miss seeing what else is there to our own capabilities and skills and resources beyond what we have been attached to. Then how are you enabling your little self? That means what triggers you on a regular basis. So this is a place where we can drain so much energy, and it just doesn't serve to help create the best life we can have. So what triggers you on a regular basis, and what have you done about it? Like how does what happens when the trigger happens? Do you contract, do you withdraw, do you explode? And we are being asked to become more neutral. So finding ways to start to become more neutral, like dealing with those triggers, is a huge part of our inner work. And then finally, look at everything else that is on autopilot, but is so clearly not relevant to your life right now. Because being aware of how we are directing our day, that is going to be key. Like, where is your energy going towards? Looking at that and asking, is this serving me still? How is this still serving me, and why am I doing it? So that was it. Those were a few areas I thought might be helpful to examine, to prepare for change. And I would love to hear from you what seemed relevant from today's video for your own journey, and how will you apply it in your life? So do share in the comments. And I'm really enjoying this journey with you. And I can't imagine, like, can you imagine we are already coming to the end of it. Do invite others who might benefit to this group, because I'm going to keep the videos up for some time at least. And if you are looking for more support, reach out for a reading or a consultation at activateyourtruthandpower.com. And in the next tool, I will also share with you how we can take this journey deeper if you are if you're looking for that and if you choose to work with me further. All right. Have a beautiful day. Thank you. Bye.